So we move on to the grand final. 6 sections ahead of us, 1 minute per section. One rider at a time coming through here. First up will be Adam Raga, then it'll be Tony Bowe, and finally Jaime Busto. That starting order will change if there is a change in terms of that ranking order. So Adam Raga, already assured of a return to a podium, his second podium of this 2023 campaign. He'll be the first man out through the rhythm section. I believe that for the grand final, the riders have to complete it in both directions, which is going to add a little bit of work, certainly. Raga then about to embark on this section, knowing that he has a golden opportunity here to make ground on Gabriel Marseille in the battle for bronze. Marseille's 6 World Championship points tonight move him on to 46 overall. Adam Raga assured of at least 12 to move on to 42. Even if he finishes in 3rd position. Oh, it's a disastrous start, though, in section 1. He shakes his head in frustration. Falls really at the first hurdle, Adam Raga. 5 marks then. He will remain first out for section 2 next up. Well, that's a very shaky start indeed for Adam Raga, and he will quite rightly be frustrated about that. Didn't get a good go at section 1 whatsoever. New direction, of course, outbound for these riders. Seen for the first time in this grand final. So it's Tony Bowe in section 1. Just the first step and landing, catching out Adam Raga for a 5-mark score. This is a long section in its grand final configuration. Tony Bowe's never been one to mind about that. Whoa, slightly off centre with the back tyre. But he manages to race along that narrow ledge and remain in contention in section 1. Rhythm section. This is day in, day out for Tony Bowe in his training grounds in Catalonia and Andorra, where he now resides. 20 seconds to go. It's tight on time. This is a familiar route. First drop mark of the grand final for Tony Bowe. There he goes. Oh, and down goes Tony Bowe. In sight of the exit gate, but tight on time. It's a fiasco for Tony Bowe. 5 marks for Adam Raga and 5 for Bowe. Jaime Busto has an opportunity to take the lead of this grand final. Bowe thought his luck was in there. He screws up his face in frustration. And this is a section, the kind of section where Jaime Busto will say, do you know what? I can do this. He's been able to get through the rhythm section earlier in the night. He was clean through the rhythm section in round 2. He was clean in round 1 as well. Tony Bowe failed in the round 1 direction. He's failed in the grand final. Opportunity for Busto, but he's got to capitalise on it. 1 minute and a long section ahead of him. Jaime Busto taking his time thus far. He hasn't got a lot of time to play with. First drop mark of the run then for Jaime Busto. He won't mind how he gets through this section 1. He'll just be keen to ensure that he does. 30 seconds. He's got himself trapped and down he goes. 3rd consecutive rider to fail in section 1. So honours even. And effectively the grand final becomes a 5-section shootout as opposed to the 6 that we started with, because we're all level and we've got the same starting positions for section 2. Adam Raga's blushes spared then. Very early failure for Raga in section 1. But Bowe and Busto failing as well. Means that he can reset now. Scores effectively reset. For Section 2, the green modules. Plenty of brand new layouts for this grand final. Not much repeated at all from earlier on in the night. As Bo walks across the path of Adam Raga, talking to himself there, psyching himself up probably for this Section 2. Adam Raga, 30 World Championship points from the opening 3 rounds of this season. This only his second podium in the 4 rounds of the year so far. 3rd place, and he would move 4 points from Gabriel Marseille overall. If he can win, he will move up to 3rd position in the World Championship standings. Adam Raga is up. He will take a mark there for leaning. Forces the bike forward, though, with his feet still on the foot pegs, so it is just a 1. Those odd dabs could prove critical, though. We know that the level of competition seems to get higher and higher every year. That's another mark for Raga. He was precarious for a moment, but he's got through. Section 2, and 2 drop marks for Adam Raga. 14 seconds to spare. Marks then from 2 sections for Adam Raga. Tony Bow next up through Section 2, these green modules. Just as in the other direction, 2 main steps that could cost riders for leaning. And Raga dropped a mark at each of those perils. What about Tony Bow? Time not such a great issue in this one. Raga made it cautiously through, and still with 14 seconds on the stopwatch. It's over now to Tony Bow. Assistant Carlos Bernetta waiting at the first step. This is where Adam Raga dropped his first mark. What about Tony Bow then? Takeoff and landing. But the landing accrues him a single mark for leaning. What about the rest of the course? Can he go one better than Adam Raga? Here it is, final step, Section 2. Raga made it through this one with 2 marks, both still on 1. Up he goes, and he does land it on the back wheel. Tony Bow takes a single mark advantage then over Adam Raga, provisionally in 2nd position. Bow on 6, Raga on 7, Busto leads on 5, but only if he can convert Section 2. 5 marks his score then. Clean here for Busto, and he will take a clear lead for the first time. Single mark, he'll be level with Bow. 2 marks, he'll be level with Raga. More than 2 marks, and he will go bottom of the rankings. And 1st in the seeding order for Section 3. 3rd of the way through the run for Raga and Bow. Jaime Busto now embarks on Section 2. Completed successfully by the 2 men before him. Busto, the winner, of course, of Extra Wiener Neustadt. 20 of his 46 points coming into this 4th round of the season. Tony Bow came in on 58. First drop mark of Section 2 for Jaime Busto. Even Tony Bow dropped a mark there. The last step of this section is going to be crucial. Raga dropped a mark on this next step. Bow didn't need a mark. If Busto drops a mark, Tony Bow will take the lead. Busto, though, has a look over at the observer, and he's given it. Moreno Piazza's given it as a mark for leaning. It was a late call from Piazza, but he has given it. So it's 2 marks, and Tony Bow the lead of Extra Bordeaux. Well, it must have been the merest of glances, because Busto pushed on quite quickly from there. Looking over at the observer, he knew that it was going to be a marginal call. And in a game of fine margins, it's Tony Bow who takes the upper hand. Change to the seeding order then for Section 3. Raga should be first out, with Jaime Busto dropping to 2nd, and then Tony Bow last out through the sections. And Bow with that advantage in his pocket. It's only a single mark. A 1/3 of the way now through this grand final. Section 3, the wooden blocks. Raga and Busto on 7 apiece. Tony Beau on 6. Really fancy that it is win or bust for Jaime Busto in the context of his championship hopes. For Adam Raga, I would suggest it's already about the bronze medal. Good work there from Raga, a real leap, a massive breach to make it across. This, a sizable step, given the fact that these riders have basically no run-up. This is going to be a tough one for all of them, I think. Raga cleaning his tyre. He's got some rubber down on the section as well. Up he goes. Oh, and beautifully without dropping a mark for leaning either. So Adam Raga with some good work there in section 3, you'd have to say. One of his best rides of the night so far. He's clean in section 3, remains on 7. And that applies the pressure to Jaime Busto. Busto next up on 7 marks. Any drop marks and he'll slip behind Adam Raga in the grand final rankings. What I was going to say previously about Jaime Busto: victory at Extra Wiener Neustadt, 3rd at Barcelona and Pamplona. Both of those nights could easily have been second places. He made mistakes late on that gave 2nd place to Gabriel Marseille. He's got to keep concentrated throughout the 6 sections this evening. Not only to try and unseat Tony Beau, but also to ensure that at very least he gets 2nd place. To be perfectly honest, 6 drop points to Marseille, leaving him 12 behind Tony Beau. In a championship fight with Beau, you really can only afford to drop points to Beau, not to any of the other men. 12 points back coming into this grand final. He made back 1 in round 1. Beau then recovered 1 in round 2. 47, the progressive championship total for Jaime Busto, 59 for Tony Beau. Adam Raga clean through this step, and Busto has dropped down to a mark for leaning. Jaime Busto then through in section 3, but by my reckoning, that's going to be a single mark. Well, those of you who can lip read in Spanish will know what he thought of that. It's just a single mark, but it moves him on to 8, and it means he'll be first out through section 4, unless Tony Beau now drops marks in section 3 as well. So your new positions, tight as you like. 2 marks separating your 3 grand finalists. Tony Beau leads on 6, Adam Raga on 7, Jaime Busto on 8. Raga and Busto, though, have a section in hand over Tony Beau. There's a risk here for Beau to drop marks. Section 3. 3 men proving evenly matched thus far. Tony Beau. Sizable advantage he had last time out at Extra Pamplona. Really his most comfortable victory of this season so far. Hasn't got anything like that in hand. Only 1 mark-up going into section 3. Oh, he's going to drop a mark partway through this 3rd section. That will move him on to 7. Same score now as Adam Raga. Won't be any change to the seeding order as far as Beau is concerned if he can get through this step without dropping a further mark. Important moment in the grand final now for Tony Beau. Will he maintain the leadership in the grand final? Up he goes, and all on the back wheel. So Adam Raga, best of the 3 grand finalists in section 3. Tony Beau yet to clean a section in the final. And it's all square at the top on 7. Beau ahead of Raga in the seeding order, and Jaime Busto just a single mark behind the pair of them. And how frustrated Busto will be to have given up that mark late on. The only consolation for him is that Beau too took a single dab for leaning partway through section 3. Halfway through the grand final then, Tony Beau leads Adam Raga on 7 and Jaime Busto on 8. Nothing at all to choose between them, just 1 mark. 1 mark so easily lost. Perhaps not so easily gained. We'll find out. Section 4. Brand new for this grand final. Curved surface, metallic surface to open as well. It doesn't look as though that's too slippery because Busto Makes it up that step with some ease. Busto 11 back from Bo in the championship, 16 ahead of Adam Raga coming into tonight. He's added another further point to that. So, as I said previously, Raga really the spoiler, as Gabriel Marseille was to Jaime Busto in the first and third round of this season. Oh, nice work that from Jaime Busto. He will take a mark for leaning, but that was precarious for a moment. Forces the body and the bike forward. 25 seconds still on the clock. Watched on as closely as possible by Tony Bo, just ducking and diving around the arena infrastructure. Rear mudguard is okay. That's allowed to touch the section. Anything else and it would be a mark. Busto is through. 8 seconds to spare, I should say. Just a single mark for leaning. He moves on to 9. Is there anywhere in that section that either of his rivals, Bo or Raga, might drop more than 1 mark to bring Busto back into contention for the lead? 2/3 of the way through the grand final for Jaime Busto. 9 drop marks from 4 sections. Failure in section 1. Next up, Adam Raga. Moved ahead of Jaime Busto in the seeding order after section 3. First man clean in any section in this grand final was Adam Raga there in the wooden blocks. Let's see what he can do in section 4. Busto taken for a single mark through here. Raga saw his run of consecutive podiums ended at the season opener Extra Barcelona. Off the podium again at Extra Pamplona. Looking for his best result of the season. 3rd at Extra Wiener Neustadt. Wiener Neustadt, the best he's done so far. This step cost Jaime Busto a single mark, but it looks like the most challenging element of section 4. Up goes Adam Raga. He too will take a mark there, but he too is up. Needs to avoid dropping any further marks in the remainder of this section to maintain a slender single mark lead over Jaime Busto. It looks like it's going down to the wire tonight. Raga with a slightly different approach. It works for him. He's out of section 4 with a single drop mark. Move on to 8. Still only 2 marks separating your 3 grand finalists. Tony Bo leads on 7, Adam Raga on 8, Jaime Busto on 9. Tony Bo looking for his first clean of the grand final. If he gets it, he'll move clear ahead of Adam Raga. Only by a mark. The slightest of errors. 1 failure could make all the difference. 1 fiasco each for Raga, Bo and Busto. It's been a low-scoring grand final, so any errors punished severely. A single mark, the worst score in section 3. 2 marks, the worst score in section 2. 1 mark, the worst score in section 4 thus far. Tony Bo. Can he make this step without using a mark for leaning? Busto was first up. He dropped a mark here. Raga was second up. He dropped a mark here. Tony Bo looking to open a lead in its grand final. He's done it. Bo is up. Tony Bo still clean in section 4. A wobble in section 3 cost him a single mark advantage. He's set to make it back here. Tony Bo to take the lead of Extra Bordeaux in section 4 of the grand final. His first clean of the run. Tony Bo leads it on 7. Raga him up, behind him on 8. Busto trails on 9. 2 sections to go. And Tony Bo leads by the slenderest of margins. Well, we've said it over and over. Bo has been hard pressed in 2023. Really the toughest season he has had, I think, for many years. And this grand final is evidence of it. 2 marks separating all 3 of them. Busto riding at a high level. Raga back to form. This is some of the best riding we've seen from Adam Raga this season. It's been a tough 2023 campaign for him, but he's raised his game for this grand final. After a slippery start in section 1. Slippery start to section 5 for Jaime Busto. Certainly taken 1 mark for leaning there. Into the cable reels. New configuration for the grand final once again. Up goes Busto. Breaking virgin ground, of course, is Jaime Busto here. That's the disadvantage of slipping to third in the pecking order, first in the seeding order. New territory for Jaime Busto. Time is of the essence here. Long section, section 5. 10 seconds to go. Busto is out with just one marked to his name. Moves on to 10 from 5. One section still to go for Jaime Busto. Just the one fiasco back in section 1. 3 of the riders failed that. It's placed a great deal of pressure on the other rides for each competitor in the grand final. Adam Raga now has a 2-mark advantage over Jaime Busto. Trails Tony Bow by 1. What can he do through the cable reels? Well, to fight Bow, it's probably going to be a clean that Adam Raga's looking for. But what he can't afford to do is fail either of these 2 final sections, trying to unseat Bow and cost himself second position, because he does have a couple of marks advantage over Jaime Busto. Here we go then. Well, that would have been a dropped mark for leaning right on the first step of section 5. It looked like it. Avoids taking another, though, on the top step. Moreno Piazza watching closely on. That's going to be another. So that's 2 drop marks now by my reckoning for Adam Raga. That will move him on to 10, the same score as Jaime Busto. That's bad news for Raga, not the start he would have wanted to this one. That's got to be because he's rushing on time. Busto showed it was achievable with just 1 drop mark. Raga can't now afford any more, or he'll slip behind Jaime Busto in the grand final rankings and the seeding positions. Starting order, all important for the decisive final section. Adam Raga then with a 2-mark score in section 5. 10 apiece for Raga and Busto. Tony Bow leads by 3. And we're not going to see the X-Trial wrapped up with a section to spare, as we have at times in the past for Tony Bow. He's going to go down to a last section decider. Will he take a lead into section 6? And what kind of lead will it be if he does? 3 marks up for now. Heading into the cable reels for Tony Bow. Our 16 times world champion. Beaten at X-Trial Wiener Neustadt. 5 points dropped there, 1 point dropped at Barcelona, his home round. 2 points dropped at Pamplona, 1 dropped so far tonight here in Bordeaux. Unfamiliar territory for Tony Bow to be under so much pressure. Ooh, precarious first step as well. Single mark for leaning. That he can afford. It moves him on to 8. Still 2 marks up on his closest rivals. But for a moment there, I thought he was going to teeter backwards. Bright lights of the Arkea Arena for Tony Bow. Spotlight and all of the eyes on one man. Your reigning world champion, your championship leader in 2023. Surely if he extends that lead tonight, he is on course to becoming world champion. And if Busto is beaten by Raga and Bow can win it, things will look even more comfortable overall. Tony Bow is out of section 5. It's not a clean, but he defends his 2-point lead, 2-mark lead over Jaime Busto, and he now has a 2-mark lead over Adam Raga as well. Raga the worst performer through that penultimate section. Bow leads on 8, Busto and Raga tied on 10. So here we go for section 6, the Scaffold Tower, signature section of X-Trials in France. First World Championship X-Trial staged here in Bordeaux. It's been a great night of action. It all comes down to this. Moreno Piazza ducks out of the way and into position. The final ride of the night for Jaime Busto. Is it? We'll end up with a tie-break scenario, of course, and a run-off. First step completed successfully. It's Busto versus Raga at the moment for second. Oh, and Busto's in some trouble. He jumps backwards. have another go at this step. 3 steps to make in quick succession, then a ramp. Hard work over the scaffold tower, particularly compared to the opening 2 rounds where this was a fairly straightforward banker section, anything but in the grand final. Tight on time now, Busto, after he was forced to jump backwards. Decent step for Busto here, tries to wedge the bike in. He's got it down further than he wants. He's tight on time. He takes a mark for footing. And to the exit gate. Oh, it's a touch like a second to spare for Jaime Busto, but he's done it. 2 marks is the score. 1 for his early error, then 1 for that dab later on. He knew he needed to take it, though, to get through the section in time. Will that earlier mistake for Busto, though, from which he had to jump back, which left him then under time pressure, which forced the error later on, will that open the door to Adam Raga to come through for 2nd place at Extra Bordeaux tonight? Raga 2 marks up on Busto. Podium already assured for these 3 men, of course, by making it through to the grand final. 4 consecutive podiums for Jaime Busto for the first time in his X-Trail World Championship career. Which step of the podium will it be? He's had 2 third places already this season. He's in 3rd again in this grand final of X-Trail Bordeaux. Adam Raga making his way through. A failure here, of course, for Raga would consign him to 3rd position. He's looking to beat that 3rd place. His best result of the season so far at X-Trail Wiener Neustadt. Raga is up those 3 steps. Bit of dust kicked away as he made it up. I think he's in a better position here than Jaime Busto. On time, because he didn't need to jump back. He was in the position he wanted to be. He's taking a different line here compared to Busto. Goodness me, you don't want to fall from that scaffold tower, I can tell you. Tight on time here, Raga. 1 mark for leaning. This could be good enough. That's another mark for leaning, though. And he's home. 4 seconds to spare, but it will be 2 marks for leaning, and we have a tie for 2nd place. We'll wait for confirmation, but by my reckoning, that's going to send us to a tie break. 12 apiece for Busto and Raga. Tony Bow leads now by 4 marks. Failure here would drop him to 3rd position and leave it between Raga and Busto for victory tonight. If he makes it through section 6, Tony Bow wins Extra Bordeaux. It's as simple as that. 1 minute for 1 section for the number 1, Tony Bow. All boils down to this. Goodness me, the poles on that scaffold moving around as Bow makes his way up. That was very tight for being a mark for leaning. Looks like he's got away with it, though. So far, so good for Tony Bow. He's got 3 marks to play with if he needs them. He hasn't needed them so far. And he's still clean. Tony Bow set to finish the grand final with a flourish. Tony Bow, his 3rd victory of the 2023 campaign. Tony Bow wins the inaugural X-Trail Bordeaux, the first World Championship X-Trail staged at the Arkea Arena. And Tony Bow, after becoming the inaugural winner of X-Trail Pamplona 2 weeks ago, puts his iron grip on the 2023 World Championship with victory in our first visit to France this season. Tony Bow then through in section 6. Needed to get through it, didn't matter how, but he did it in style. 3rd victory in 4 rounds this season.
Desde fuera, muy emocionante, creo que el público disfrutará. Ha sido una gran noche, seguro que tendrá un gran final.
Voilà,
an exciting final. The spectators will certainly have enjoyed that tough final, but Tony Bow comes out on top.
pour devoir exécuter la zone numéro 1, la zone F, comme elle a été exécutée au
So just listening to Bernard S23's explanation there, it will be section 1 used.
Eh bien, c'est le pilote le plus rapide qui sera déclaré vainqueur. Attention au départ, Jaime Bordeaux.
So my understanding here is that it's a straight shootout over one section between these two men. If the scores are the same in the runoff, then it will go to time to separate them. So speed is of the essence, but so is cleanliness through the section. Here we go. Rhythm section. 1 minute on the stopwatch for Jaime Busto. Intense pressure and Busto drops a mark.
Le temps, nous sommes à 42 secondes pour l'instant pour... Allez, allez, il faut y aller. Allez,
This is going to be a nail biter. Jaime Busto, another mark for leaning. 2 marks, and he'll be devastated about that second one. 2 marks, 24 seconds left on the clock. 36 seconds used. So, either Adam Raga needs to beat that 2-mark score, or he needs to score 2 and make it through the section with more than 24 seconds to spare. Adam Raga for the tie-break for second place. Tony Bow's victory tonight will mean that he opens at least another 5 points over Jaime Busto in the championship overall. With 12 points coming in, it'll be at least 17. And Adam Raga could take another 3 World Championship points here from Jaime Busto. Speed has never necessarily been Raga's biggest asset, but accuracy has down the years. 4 times extra World Champion, and not for nothing. Adam Raga needs to better 2 marks here. That's one. 1 drop mark for leaning. Lands on the sump. But if he avoids dropping any further marks here, he will beat Jaime Busto. 10 seconds compared to Busto. I don't think he's now going to beat him on time. Can he beat him on precision? He needs to be clean up this final step. Busto faster than Raga through the tie-break section. Raga then can't afford to drop a mark through here. Up he goes. Adam Raga's done it. Adam Raga for second position tonight. There's life in the old dog yet, and a wry smile from both of them. Raga and Busto. Well, I said before that section 6, it was the final section. Or was it? It wasn't in the end. It goes down to the tie-break, and Adam Raga takes it by 1 mark to 2. Strong night from Adam Raga. Best we've seen from him this season, no doubt about it. Strong performance in the grand final. Bit of a wobble in section 1, but after that he bounces back superbly. Adam Raga then takes second position from Jaime Busto, but your winner, no doubting, by 4 marks, it's Tony Bow.
Tony, congrats for the podium. Really tight and tight final.
Yeah, with Adam and Jaime very strong in the first lap, second lap. I think my feel is better in the final. Only I have the big mistake in section 1 in the end. I have 12 seconds, but I try to do very fast, and this is my mistake. After this, I ride my best, riding incredible. I feel super happy today.
You've been growing from the first round till the final.
Yeah, I think every round a little better. In the first lap, I fight the 5 in the section 1, in the final 2, but after this, I think my riding is nice.
Thanks a lot and congrats again.
Thank you very much.
Over Busto in Bordeaux, and really now, Tony Bow is in complete control of the championship, 20 points up. We await official confirmation of that over Jaime Busto, who is restricted to just 3rd place here tonight. Jaime Busto then already up and on to the podium. It is the 13th podium of his extra World Championship career. 4th podium in a row for Jaime Busto as well. Strong run of consistency at least. At least there were no major errors from Busto in the grand final tonight. He was just beaten on pure performance by Adam Raga in that tiebreak. No single section where you could say Busto threw it away, as he did in Barcelona and Pamplona in his fights for second. Winner of X-Trial, Wiener Neustadt. Took 5 points from Bo there, and at very least we're getting signs. But Jaime Busto is growing in stature. He's closing down the gap to Tony Bo, and he's putting him under some pressure. 12-1 for Jaime Busto tonight. Moves him on to 59 World Championship points. 20 plus 1 for Tony Bo. And that moves him to 79. Adam Raga, meanwhile, 15 points for second position. His best result of this season so far will move him on to 45 and to within 1 point of Gabriel Marseille, who failed, of course, to make today's grand final. Lovely singing of the Spanish national anthem applies to your winner, Tony Bo, but to your 3 podium riders. And a standing ovation for them as well. Your winner, Tony Bo, your runner-up, Adam Raga, and third place man, Jaime Busto. And Adam Raga, who celebrated his 41st birthday yesterday. Kept that one largely to himself, didn't he? But he's got something to celebrate tonight, with a second place and a much more competitive display than we've seen from him at any other stage this season so far. And after victory in the Spanish Championship last weekend, it's second place for him on the night at X-Trial Bordeaux, and one which seriously increases his chances of getting back into the medal positions this season. Halfway mark done and dusted in the 2023 series. It's Tony Bo who leads the way. 3 wins out of 4 then. Just 1 dropped point in the championship tonight for Bo, dating back to the opening round of the evening. His opening run in which he was beaten by Jaime Busto. Busto was top seed to the grand final. Couldn't do anything with it. Walks away with 3rd position, loses another 8 points in the championship standings. So it's Adam Raga's best result of this 2023 campaign, 15 World Championship points. It's Toby Martin's best result as well. He walks away with 9 on the board. Unfortunately, it's Gabriel Marseille's lowest yield of the season. Lowest yield for Aniol Gelabert and Sondre Haga as well. Much better, a much improved performance as far as Matteo Grattarola is concerned. He doubles his championship haul. As for what that does in the standings overall, Tony Bo now 20 points up on Jaime Busto, has at very least one hand you fancy on the trophy, with effectively a round in hand over Busto, and only 3 rounds to come after the summer break, with X-Trial Andorra la Vella, X-Trial in Madrid, and also in Vendée, that recently confirmed final round of 2023. In the battle for second, just a point now separating Gabriel Marseille and Adam Raga. 46 for Marseille, 45 for Raga. And Toby Martin opens an 8-point gap over Benoit Bincaz, his nearest rival in the battle for 5th. So strong performance for Toby Martin. He seems to go from strength to strength as this season has gone on. Disappointing home round for Bincaz. Tough night as well for Aniol Gelabert. Big improvements, as I said previously, for Matteo Grattarola. But the main story is up at the top of the championship. 12 points separated Bo and Busto coming into this round. And now there is a 20-point lead as far as Tony Bo is concerned overall. Fantastic night of action then here in Bordeaux, the first ever World Championship level X-Trial at this venue. And it's Tony Bo who is still very much the man to beat.